Hello, this is Shivam Ghosh from Stratasys Software, and let's talk about stacking your parts in Z for FDM. We're talking about finally using this part of your FDM tray. You could always do this in powder bed, so what we're really talking about is just taking that powder bed idea and moving it to FDM. Just as a reminder, there are two versions of GrabCAD Print now. GrabCAD Print Basic is free. It talks to your FDM and PolyJet printers, and we're still improving it from month to month. That's not going anywhere. What we're talking about today is adding to it with GrabCAD Print Pro. That's going to be a yearly charge per user. It talks to your SAF powder bed printers. It scans your parts and corrects for warpage, and also does a couple other things. And we're talking about 3D array or Z stacking today. All right, so I've got a single part here on the tray, just a single part file. We're going to go down to the lower right, this new button, the 3D array button. And we're going to choose how many copies we want in the X direction, in the Y, and most importantly, in the Z. Okay, we just keep adding them up. It shows us we're going to have 32 total copies, and we hit create. And it's done. What it does is make one object in the feature tree for us to manipulate. But that's the easy part. The hard part is when I go over here and I hit slice. So it's obvious our slicer is working a little harder, right? Instead of just one layer of parts, now it has to figure out how the second layer supports attached to the first layer, how the third layer supports attached to the second layer, almost like you're stacking them in a resin printer, right? So if your normal tray takes 3 to 5 minutes to slice, be prepared for this kind of stack tray to take 15, 20, 30 minutes to slice. You also may run out of RAM on your machine. Even on a powerful machine, this is very RAM intensive. So if you crash halfway through, just watch out for that. It's RAM and time intensive. But we got through it. And there's the finished tray, ready to print. This part is very graphics card intensive, so if you have trouble rotating or zooming in and out, consider upgrading your graphics card. But this is only half the story. Now the question is, when would you want to do this? When would you want to Z-stack your prints? It comes down to a concept I call dominoes versus playing cards. Typically in FDM printing, you're paying more for the Z direction than you are for the X and Y. So if you have to put a certain number on the tray, let's say you have to print 5 of these parts, and you can reduce some of the Z by stacking them on top of each other, then it's worth doing. Notice in the playing card example, I even made the parts thinner, so the Z difference is more. So they typically work better on long, flat, thin parts. So if you're going to print 5 of these, you can put them vertically and take 3 days, or you can stack them in Z and save 17 hours off your print. You're going to use more support, but the time difference just might be worth it. Alright, that's been the 3D Array Z stacking portion of GrabCAD Print Pro. If you'd like a 60-day trial, just let your Stratasys reseller know and we can get you started. Thanks again, and I've been Shivam Ghosh from Stratasys Software.